everyone. Hi. Hi. Good day everyone. My name is Quincy Velasco and I am your reporter for today. So, my report is I generally titled it as New Grading System and Guidelines in Grading. So, don't worry, I've used words that are very understandable and very self-explanatory. So, bahalag dili ta magkita, at least you could watch my report and then masabtan jud nimo. So, let's start. Okay. So my title for today my report is all about new grading system and general guidelines in grading. So before we go on to our topic, let us first discuss what are the questions that are later to be answered. So first question is, what are the general guidelines in grading test or performance test? Second, what are the general guidelines in grading an essay test? Third, what is the new grading system of the Philippine K-12 program? And lastly, or fourth, how should test results be communicated to the stakeholders? So before that, mangutana ta, unsa din ang grading system, di ba? So before ta moadto sa atong mga questions nga i-answer nato later on, i-discuss nato ning grading system. Unsa din ang grading system? Unsa din na siya? Need na siya? Kailangan na siya? Ganyan. So, let us first discuss grading system. So, grading system in education is the attempt to apply standardized measurement of varying levels of achievement in a course. Grades can be assigned as letter, as a range, as a percentage, or as a number out of possible total. In some countries, grades are averaged to create a grade point average. So, our next slide. In the Philippines, some universities follow a 4-point scale which resembles or is equivalent to the US grading system. So I have here an example. A grade point equivalence is 2.25 in equivalent to 83 to 86%, which is good. A 2.50 equivalent to 80 to 83%, which is fair. 2.75 equivalent to 78 to 80%, which is fair also. And lastly is 3.00 equivalent to 75 to 78, which means pass. So sa tua, ako senior high ko, moingon jud ko nga 75 goods na no. I mean high school ko goods na no, at least nakapasar, 'di ba? Karon sa college kay naka-3 ko, sige na lang kay kuan pasar naman jud ni, pero mas dili man jud tong makuha na tong 2.25 or 2.50, mas better if one plot, 'di ba? So, mao na siya. So, next is the general guidelines in grading. So, one of the primary goals of proficiency-based grading system is to produce grades that more accurately reflect a student's learning progress and achievement, including situations in which students struggled early or in a semester or school year, but then put in an effort and hard work needed to meet the expected standards. If you ask nearly adult, they will tell you that failures and learning to overcome them are often among the most important lessons in life. So di ba makaingon sila nga grades doesn't define you, di ba? So naman jay uban nga low sila academic skill, yet they are good in life skill. You know, like mangita sila paraan, mangita sila ganyan, mangita sila inani. Bahalag low sila academic skill, or they have not or wala sila diploma itself, pero at least they're very good in life, di ba? Okay, so since nag-discuss man tag general guidelines, na ay 6 ka guidelines that I am going to give to you. So this is what I have researched the other day. So let us first discuss the first. So the primary purpose of the grading system is to clearly, accurately, and consistently and fairly communicate learning progress and achievement to students' family, post-secondary institutions, and prospective employees. Second, the grading system ensures that students, families, teacher, counselor, advisor, and specialist have the detailed information they needed to make important decisions about students' education. Third, the grading system measures, reports, and documents students' progress and proficiency against a set of clearly defined gross curricular and content area standards and learning objectives collaboratively developed by the administration, faculty, and staff. Fourth, the grading system measures, reports, and documents academic progress and achievement separately from work habits, character traits, and behavior so that educators, counselors, and advisors and support specialists can accurately determine the difference between learning needs and behavioral work habit needs. Fifth, the grading system ensures consistency and fairness in the assessment of learning and the assignment of scores and proficiency level against the same learning standards across students, teachers, assessments, learning experience, content areas, and time. And lastly, the grading system is not used as form of punishment, control, or compliance. In proficiency-based learning system, what matters most is where students end up, not where they started out or how they behave along the way. Meeting and exceeding challenging standards defines success. The best grading system motivates students to work harder, overcome failures, and excel academically. Now, let us first answer the first question. So, what are the general guidelines in grading test or performance test? O diba? So, kung sa performance test, namin din criteria for judging. Bisan sa Binibining Pilipinas or sa Miss Universe, naadyan ang criteria for judging. So, in pair with Binibining Pilipinas or Miss Universe, nasad ang performance test o ganang grading test. So, let's discuss it. So, what are the general guidelines in grading test or performance test? Criteria are guidelines or rules for judging students' responses, products, or performance. In essence, they describe what is most important in students' relation to identified learning goals. Criteria serve as the foundation or the development of a rubric, a tool for evaluating student work according to a performance scale. So I proposed 4 general categories of criteria that can be used to evaluate student works depending on the targeted standard or outcomes and the purpose of the performance task. The 4 criterion type focus on evaluating content, process, quality, and impact. Let's consider each type. So, content. Content or criteria are used to evaluate the degree of a student's knowledge and understanding of facts, concepts, and principles. So, content. So, ang sulod. Next is the process. Process criteria are used to evaluate the proficiency or level of performance of a skill or a process, as well as the effectiveness of the methods and produced to used in test. Next is the quality. Quality criteria are used to evaluate overall quality and craftsmanship of a product or a performance. Next is impact. Criteria are used to evaluate the overall results or effect of a product or performance given its purpose and audience. So, muna siya ang general guidelines in grading a performance task natin. Content, process, quality, and impact. So, pag na-jud ka bongga gid imong score. Diba? So, mapangitawan mo dyan sa maestra nga, okay, the content is good, the quality is good, the impact is good. Wow, but the process, very good. So, ana dyan na. Okay. So, pag human na to grade sa test or sa performance test, moadto po ta sa atong essay test, di ba? So, let us now answer the second question. So, what are the general guidelines in grading essay test? So, unlike math problems that has a single correct answer, an essay consists of numbers of variables. So, below are listed some guidelines that instructor follow when grading an essay. So, there are 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, F, 5. 5 ways on how to grade an essay. Let us first discuss the first one. A is an exceptional essay. So, gatuot ang essay di ay kay kanang isa ra ka buok kay, okay, write an essay about this, write an essay about that. So, what ita kabalo na di siya 6 ka klase nga essay. So, let us first discuss the first essay. A is an exceptional essay. So, in all categories of rhetoric style and correct usage, it is highly original, extremely well-developed, detailed, fluent, and cogent. It may have 1 or 2 surface errors. The A essay is characterized by the following. So, ang A daw is an exceptional essay. Mao to ang katong rhetoric style and correct usage. It is a highly original, extremely well-developed, detailed, and fluent, and cogent. It may have 1 or 2 surface errors. So, it is characterized by the following. A clearly defined thesis that is appropriate to the audience, occasion, and assignment. Next, a strong development and support of the thesis. Logical and effective organization of the full essay, effective structure with individual paragraphs, logical and effective transitions between sentences and paragraphs, mature and varied sentence structures, appropriate usage and diction, no cliches, jargon, and colloquialism, and control of the conventions of standards written English, including punctuation, verb tense agreement, grammar, spelling, and mechanics. Lastly, originality and the freshness of expression and ideas. Moto siya ang rhetoric type of essay. Exceptional essay. Next is letter B. Letter B is a good, clear, interesting essay which is not original in its conception nor as fluent in its style as an A paper, but it is organized, well-developed, and demonstrates good college-level thinking. It has a few surface errors, but these errors do not obscure the writer's intended meaning. The B essay is characterized by the following. It is a clearly defined thesis, strong support of the thesis but with the need of some explanation or additional development, usually logical and effective organization of the full essay, clear structure of paragraphs, logical transitions between sentences and paragraph, generally mature and varied sentence structures, usually appropriate usage and diction, little use of cliches, jargon, or colloquialisms, few, if any, errors in the conversations of standards written English, including punctuation, verb tense agreement, grammar, spelling, and mechanics. It is somewhat less originality and freshness than it is characteristic of the essay. So next is the C. C is a focused college essay which demonstrates a first-year student's competency in writing a standard American English, but one which lacks the originality and fluency of the A paper and the development organization of the B paper. The major differences between B and C paper are the quality and the quantity of detail used to develop the main idea of the thesis and the sophistication and relevance of the student's topic. Errors in usage and mechanics, misuse of words, awkward sentences in a few sections are more noticeable in the C paper than in the B paper. The C is characterized by any number of the following. A thesis may be obvious or insignificant, or that may be not totally control the essay, no more than an adequate support of the thesis with important details possibly omitted, no more than adequate organization or with minor organizational deficiencies, no more than adequate paragraph structures or with minor structural deficiencies, no more than adequate transitions with the transitions perhaps omitted or illogically chosen, fairly coherent sentence structures but with occasional awkwardness or lack of variety, general appropriate appropriate usage and dictions, but with occasional vagueness or inexactness and perhaps too much reliance on cliches, jargon, and colloquialisms, isolated serious errors, and a few minor errors in the conventions of standard written English, including punctuation, verb-tense agreement, grammar, spelling, and mechanics. And last, less originality and freshness than its characteristics in the A. So, lastly, let us discuss the weak paper or letter D. No, not last. Second to the last. D is a weak paper because it is a poorly organized and lack development detail in most sections. It is also wanders from the topic or thesis. Sentence structure is awkward, words are frequently misused, its meaning for the most part is unclear, and the usage errors are too numerous for the students to be considered a competent writer of standard American English. The D essay is characterized by one or more of the following. A thesis is unclear or inappropriate to the audience, occasion, or assignment. Inadequate development of the thesis, asserting claims without support. Illogical organization, example, body paragraphs out of logical order. Inadequate transitions, most transitions omitted or logically chosen. Frequently incoherent or awkward sentences structures with generally lack of variety, frequently inexact, vague, or inappropriate usage and diction with reliance on cliches, jargon, and colloquialisms, occasional serious errors and frequent minor errors in the convention of standard written English, punctuation, verb, tense agreements, grammar, spelling, and mechanics, and it is almost no originality expression of ideas. So that is a D, that is a weak paper. Next, the last, F is an acceptable college writing. In addition to lacking of development, the paper has not addressed the assignment. It is illegible, confusing, and contains flagrant of errors, diction, style, and usage. The F essay is characterized by one or more of the following. It is omitted, totally unclear, or seriously inappropriate thesis, almost total lack of development of thesis, wanders away from the thesis, no sense organization, example, no division, reduction, body, and conclusion, no sense of paragraph structures, no transition employment, a large number of incoherent of awkward sentences, no sentence variety, a large number of inappropriate or an idiomatic usage or an inappropriate diction, and a frequent serious and minor errors in the conventions of standard written English, and no originality or freshness or expression of ideas. So that is how you grade the essay part. So, diba, daghan di kay klase di ay nga kuan di ay nga essay di ka kabalo nga binimog ka ng char lang write this, write that, ganyan. Pero pag ang maisa di ay maglisod dai sila og how to grade an essay. Bes ako nga gabasa ko galisod ko labaw nagwala sa rubrics ang imuhang essay, like out of nowhere jud kaayo ang imuhang answer kay syempre like puya ani oy. So ano jud ang students pero complaining yet complying, diba? So let us first let us discuss the third question. So aware naman jud aning K-12 program aning Philippines, diba? So unsaon day pag grading system aning unsa di ang grading system aning Philippine K-12 program? So the K-12 so what is the new grading system of the Philippine K-12 program? So the K-12 basic education programs uses a standard and competency-based grading system. So pardon with the the voice or the tone kay ning kuan na alas 8 na. so balik ta. What is the new grading system of the Philippine K-12 program? The K-12 basic education program uses a standards and competency-based grading system. All grades will be based on a weighted raw score of the learner's summative assessment. The minimum grade needed to pass a specific learning area is 60, which is transmuted to 75 in the report card. For these guidelines, the department will use a floor grade considered as the lowest possible grade that will appear in the learner's report card. Learners from grade 1 to 12 are graded on written work, performance tasks, and quarterly assessment every quarter. These three are given specific percentage weights that are vary according to the nature of the learning area. So, ang basic grade 12 program dahil nag-use dahil siya og standard competency based grading system. So kita mag-question dito sa una nga halang ano kang nakuha na ko ni nga grado, no, diba? Like Yun sa kanini ma'am no. So, pardon lang di ay kay wala dyan ako nabutang on how to calculate, di ay wala na ko siya nabutang. So, sorry for that. My mistake. So, sunod na lang ibutang nako. I mean, sunod. Diba? So, kung natay grades, syempre, mag-wonder dyan itong mama nga. Sa kay graduan niya kong anak no. Sa kay kuanan niya kong anak no. Diba? So, dira makakuan jud ka, maka-question jud kag how should test results be communicated to different stakeholders. So as a teacher, kabalo jud ka nga unsa na ko pag-ingon sa mga mama no nga bagsak ni siya, unsa na pag-communicate sa iyang parents like okay, she has the lowest score, ganyan. So well, teachers, let us discuss the last questions, which is the how should test results be communicated to different stakeholders? So, while teachers are certainly on the front lines when it comes to communicating with students about testing, we can't forget the important role that parents play in assessment. Talking to parents about assessment result is an important step in helping parents understanding their child's growth, be a partner in goal setting, and generally give them role in improving their children's learning. Okay, so as a teacher, there are points you can raise and tips you can impart to parents to help them not only understand assessment and assessment results, but also in preparing them for children or for testing. So, have them met with you as often as needed to discuss their child's progress. So, as a teacher, initiative naman ginato na nga to meet with their parents. Mao bilang nanay ingon nga monthly meeting. So, pag monthly meeting, discuss nimo na dira, discuss nimo aning what's performance mo child, di ba? So, next is suggest activities to do at home to help improve their child's understanding of schoolwork. So, pag once gani ang child is kabalo jud nga low, I mean wala pa kasi sila kasabot. So, suggest some activities nga pwede nila himuon sa balay, di ba? Next is encourage them to have a quiet, comfortable place for their child to study at home, if possible, and free of digital distractions. So, kung naay time sa games or time sa digital mga technology ganyan, napoy time for study, di ba? Balance man na, ana man na. So, if if naman yung parents nga mag-rule nga pag cellphone ron dayon pag human later on pwede na ka pag study ron pag later on pwede na ka mag cellphone, di ba naman na, pero dapat later on lang pud kay wala man tong isadihan nila sa ilahang huna kung pahuman ana nila mag cellphone din sila, di ba? So murag divert na ilahang mind dito sa cellphone, di ba? So naman jud time. So pero naman jud uban pud parents nga wala jud pud kayo ika-afford like kanang mga low level nga family, na ba? I mean dili na ingon nga low level pero nabitong kanang low good na bitaw. So namji inana. So akong suggestion is talk to your child dayon asa ka nagkuan ani, asa ka inana, at least man lang you could have a moment with your child, di ba? So, and lastly, help them understand the importance of providing books and magazines for their child to read at home. Suggest outside reading list or provide suggestions from the public library. So, since ang naman dyan yung mga books nga ipanghatag, so why not try scanning it, try reading it, try para maka-understand ka. Okay, so when it comes to the assessment itself, teachers can start with the basics to help parents better understand the process and improve communication with them. First, when it comes to the assessment, teacher itself can start with the basics to help parents better understand the process and improve communication with them. So, as a teacher, a briefing sa sa imuhang parents nga, nani man jud ni siya, ginani jud ni siya, lisod-lisod ni siya gamay. So, ang students, I don't know if kag-cope up ba ni siya. So, i-perfect sa mo ang parents. Next, explain the purpose of the assessment, such as the difference between those used to inform classroom instructions and those need to meet state requirements. So, explain the purpose of assessment. Part man sa general guidelines sa assessment. Explain your purpose. Next, share with them which tests are being used in the child classroom and how the results of each are used. So example, math. Okay, math. Hala, kuan ni siya oy kanang lisod jud kay ni siya ma'am. Lisod jud kay ni parent kay kanang nani. So, ang student magkuan jud na siya, magdali jud pud na siya og kanang cook mo. Sa unday ni pagkuha di ay ana labo nang mag-answer ka ginani ganyan. Fourth, send the communication about when tests are being given, when the results will be available, and how the parents will receive the results. Share your child learning progress using assessment, the result, as well as your classroom observation. So, naman dyan app, di ba? Sometimes, karon kay na dyan app nga, mag-text na, i-text sa imong parent nga, kanang mag-test, magsugod na ang test, ang test, ang the result will be given next Monday, so, ato mo sa school, ato mo kuhan, naman monthly meeting, then, discuss kung unsa ang kulang, unsa ang pagkukulang, unsay sobra, unsay kuan. And lastly, point out academic strengths and weaknesses and how they can help address its areas of concern outside of the classroom, particularly if assessment result points to specific things they can do. So, as a teacher, initiative na ginato na nga to identify kung unsay strength or weakness sa students. For example, bright siya og English, ni pagman weak siya og math. So, as a teacher, you have to give it all. You have to give it all sa imong student nga kanang low siya, like low iyang mind sa ina nga subject, di ba? So dili ta mo judge kay unlike kay giingon po ni Ma'am Hinovia, dapat i-sabto nimo ang students kay wala ka kabalo kung unsa iyang life, di ba? Kabalo kasi iyang life nga ingon nga ina sa school, pero wala ka kabalo sa iyang life behind the school, behind the closed doors, behind the open door, di ba? So you have to understand the children in different ways. Isa-isahon yun mo sila, understand yun mo sila, di ba? So, mao na ang ako ang report for today. Mao na siya about ang katong new grading system, general guidelines in grading, and how test results should be how test results should be communicated to the stakeholders. So, I do hope na amoy masabot, and I do hope na amoy masabtan. So, that's it for today, guys. Very, very, very much thank you for listening. And bye! See you soon! Face to face!